Good morning, everyone. Welcome to our Wednesday meditation gathering. I'm so glad you're all here to share this time together. This week we have Peter Parr, who will lead us in meditation, and then we have 20 minutes of silence. After that, we'll open it up for sharing, and we end at 10:45. Over to you, Peter.
Thank you very much, Dan, and thank you for having me. Lovely to see you all. I'd like to begin today by reading one of my mum's favourite passages from the course. This is from the final chapter, chapter 31, section 6, and I'll just read the opening couple of paragraphs from that. You see the flesh or recognise the spirit. There is no compromise between the two. If one is real, the other must be false, for what is real denies its opposite. There is no choice in vision but this one. What you decide in this determines all you see and think is real and hold as true. On this one choice does all your world depend, for here have you established what you are, as flesh or spirit in your own belief. If you choose flesh, you never will escape the body as your reality, for you have chosen that you want it so. But choose the spirit, and all heaven bends to touch your eyes and bless your holy sight, that you may see the world of flesh no more, except to heal and comfort and to bless. Salvation is undoing. If you choose to see the body, you behold a world of separation, unrelated things and happenings that make no sense at all. This one appears and disappears in death. That one is doomed to suffering and loss. And no one is exactly as he was an instant previous. Nor will he be the same as he is now an instant hence. Who could have trust where so much change is seen? For who is worthy if he be but dust? Salvation is undoing of all of this, and constancy arises in the sight of those whose eyes salvation has released from looking at the cost of keeping guilt, because they chose to let it go instead. Salvation does not ask that you behold the spirit and perceive the body not. It merely asks that this should be your choice. I'll pause there for a moment and invite you to reflect for a second on that statement. Are you willing to choose to recognize the truth about your brother? To put it another way, are you willing to lay aside your judgments and grievances and to forgive? Lesson 351 focuses on very similar themes. My sinless brother is my guide to peace. My sinful brother is my guide to pain. And which I choose to see, I will behold. Who is my brother but your holy Son? And if I see him sinful, I proclaim myself a sinner, not a son of God, alone and friendless in a fearful world. Yet this perception is a choice I make and can relinquish. I can also see my brother sinless as your holy Son. And with this choice, I see my sinlessness, my everlasting comforter and friend beside me, and my way secure and clear. Choose then for me, my Father, through your voice, for he alone gives judgment in your name. So again, we're left with the question, am I ready to lay down my own judging and let Christ's be the vision with which I see? If I am willing to choose to see the essence of my brother, if I am willing to forgive, how can I do that? How can I exchange my own flawed perception for the perfect vision of Christ? I'd like to share two practices which I personally find helpful. First of all, a short passage from Reflections on God's Love. When I have an unkind thought about someone, or when I am tempted to judge them, I remind myself, I am in God, and God is in me. Love is my essence, my truth, and my being. And then I say, as I think of the other person, you are in God, and God is in you. Love is your essence, your truth, and your being. As I practiced this meditation one evening, holding in mind a person with whom I'd had a disagreement, some fresh words came to me. We are in God, and God is in us. We share the same essence. We share the same source. God loves us both with one equal love. An image came to me then of Jesus standing with one arm around the person who I'd been holding a grievance against. With his other arm, he beckoned me to join them in a three-way embrace. Truly, that which unites us is greater than what divides us, for what unites us is our very being. So whenever I have a judgmental thought about a person, I ask myself the question, am I willing to join with Jesus and with my brother in that circle? Am I willing to make that choice? The other practice that I find helpful is to set aside some time each morning and evening to dwell in God's presence. During his earthly life, Jesus himself had this quiet time each morning and evening. We're told in Mark's Gospel, very early in the morning, while it was still dark, Jesus got up, left the house, and went off to a solitary place where he prayed. And in Matthew, he went up on the mountain by himself to pray. When it was evening, he was there alone. In my quiet times, I use a form of centering prayer as a way of uniting my mind with his, so that my mind holds only what I think with God. I repeat a short phrase or mantra. I say it slowly, peacefully, giving my full attention to the words and to the silences between them. There are many ideas from A Course in Miracles which lend themselves to be used in this way. For example, lesson 222, God is with me. Or from lesson 109, I rest in God. In the fifth review, God is but love. And we could potentially continue with that, therefore I am. Or some other simple phrases based on the Course. Help me choose peace. Help me forgive. My mum simply uses the word Jesus as representing all of these thoughts. I often use a line from the Psalms, Thou art with me. And when I notice my mind has wandered, I gently call it back by repeating the phrase again. We live and move and have our being in God, who is only love. With every breath, we breathe in love. If you think about breathing, before we can draw in fresh breath, we need to be empty of what no longer serves us. To be filled with the spirit of love, we need to release, to empty ourselves of all those judgments and grievances we've been hanging on to. This means forgiveness, letting go of our own thoughts. We make ourselves available to receive the thoughts of God. I receive God's love. I offer forgiveness. I breathe in love. I breathe out forgiveness. As we move into our time of meditation, I'd invite you to choose a short phrase, maybe one of the ideas from the Course I've just mentioned, or one of your own, and use it as an anchor, a centre, to which you can return if your mind wanders. God is with me. God is but love. Help me choose peace. Help me forgive.
Open your eyes slowly and come back into the room. We have 10 minutes left for sharing your reflections and your questions. If you'd like to speak, raise your hand or use the reactions button at the bottom of the screen, and I'll invite you to take yourself off mute. And if you'd like to ask Peter a question or a comment with confidentiality, put your message in the chat function at the bottom of the screen, and I'll read it out. Catherine.
Peter, thank you so much. And yeah, love to your mother. It was rather lovely you mentioning your mum and that you have that to share, the two of you, A Course in Miracles. It's not a part of the course I'm very familiar with, and I've been really present with the kind of choosing which voice I listen to lately, kind of reflecting on that. And it's a lovely clarification that to choose which voice is also to choose, do I see flesh or spirit? Wonderful. And the other thing I got out of it is sort of the avoidance of the spiritual bypass, because when we do see flesh, you know, A Course in Miracles says judgment itself is a learning device that we'll need until we don't need it anymore. And we are being told that we judge things as making no sense at all. We judge things as suffering and loss. We judge that someone's not stable, ourselves or another, because then they can be different than they were an instant previous. And then we can take all those judgments and rest in a place of non-judgment. So yeah, I found it very, very rich. Thank you. And the other bit, when you said you were saying everything slowly, and when you said forgive, it reminded me of the idea that forgiveness is before give, to give something before. So it's not, we're not waiting for an apology or for things to change. We before give. So that, yeah, I really heard that. Thank you.
Okay, Evelyn and then Norman.
Thank you, Peter, very much, and thank you, Catherine. Yes, I couldn't agree more, and because I feel as if I've been given a bit of a shake-up. I had a night in hospital last week, and it was quite an experience. And but something, as always, there's always a purpose in everything. And so just to keep it short, because other people want to speak, but I feel I've really come to a real different place, a different place where just what you're speaking about, Peter, the flesh or the spirit, because of course in hospital everybody wants to, you know, so much, and then they want to monitor me and the whole thing, and it just, and I realize, you know, instead of going to, you know, to use energy and untruth really against other people who are doing their utmost, their very, very best everywhere. And but instead of using energy and untruth, you know, really wrong direction, forgiveness, straight to forgiveness, straight to forgiveness, straight to love, blessing, and thanking them, but straight to forgiveness, because my ego wants to take the roundabout route and loves a drama. And I can see that. I can see that in myself, you know, yeah. So yeah, so not to go on about it and make another drama. I just want to thank you so much. Thank you so much, and thank you, everyone. I feel this is so important. Yeah, so yeah, I feel that just I've been really brought to, you know, you got one foot in the course and you got one foot in the fleshly, worldly, and I can see that. I've been riding that for years, and it's time to stop. So this, you know, although it was a traumatic experience, it was very helpful. And I'm talking to Jesus nonstop. So, and I will be going to Ireland tomorrow, and I'm taking the course with me because it has been such a help. And well, it's just, yes, it's just everything. So thank you very much. Thank you very much indeed, Peter. Couldn't have been more apt for me. So bless you all. Thank you.
Thank you, Evelyn, and thank you for sharing that personal lived experience of it.
Okay, Norman.
Yes, thank you very much, Peter. I live in a small flat and have a very small garden, and I've got roses in it. And the weather lately has been dreadful, and the roses have taken off the batter. So I was out looking at them Monday, I think it was, could have been Sunday. And sure enough, there was, a couple of them that had more or less rotted away with the amount of rain that had fallen on them. But there was one that caught my eye. It was beginning to bud. It had, in fact, it had quite a big bud, and the outer leaves were just starting to part. And I noticed where they'd been eaten away by green flies, and some of the leaves were damaged as well. And when I had a good look at them, took off all the dead ones, and they didn't look too bad. And I can remember thinking, well, maybe that rose that's got eaten away or it's flawed at the minute. You never know what might come of it. And then in the afternoon, I was feeling tired, and I lay down for a wee doze, and I had a lovely vision of the most beautiful rose you ever saw in your life. A beautiful reddish colour with a golden heart, and the leaves were plush, beautiful green. And then I thought to myself, I wonder what that means, because it didn't last too long, didn't get much chance to look at it. But afterwards, I realised, that you were talking about Christ's vision, and that this is the way God must look at his creation. If he can see that flawed rose like that, how much more can he see us when we look at all our flaws? God mustn't see them at all. It must be tremendous, the way he looks with his vision, or Christ's vision, must see all of us. So immense thank yous. Thank you very much indeed. That was hit the nail right in the head for me, that one.
It's also, thank you, Norman. It's a lovely reflection again, just taking an experience from real life, and seeing how that kind of really brings the message home in when we kind of experience these things for ourselves. It kind of takes the teaching to a whole new level than if we're simply kind of just reading it in the course.
Peter, where were the readings that you read from?
So I began with chapter 31, section 6, and I also read lesson 351 and a short extract from Reflections on God's Love.
Great, thank you. Who'd like to share? Sandy.
Thank you, Peter, and thank you, everyone. That was really beautiful. The words from chapter 31 really opened my heart. It was really quite powerful, especially to see that the body does have a role. It says, except to heal, to comfort, and to bless. And I just thought, how beautiful is that? So I can understand that while I'm in this world, that I can use that body in that way, and that's it feels real, so let's use it in that way. And I thought that was really, really beautiful. And I used God is with me really slowly, because when you were saying it, that sort of irritated me a little bit. It was quite slow, but I did it that way, and it was amazing how it just began to fall away. The words just started to drop away, and that you were just left with that essence and that feeling. Every time I tried to say it, the last word would not come. It just slowly, the sentence got shorter and shorter, and just took me into a very powerful place where I've done some really good healing with somebody who a family member who's since passed, that I've really reconciled with. So it was beautiful and very powerful. So thank you very, very much. Thank you.
Thank you, Peter, for that wonderful share, and I got so much out of it. Take yourself off mute and show your appreciation to Peter.
Thank you, Peter.
Thank you. It's wonderful.
Thank you,
very
Peter.
much.
Thank you.
Peter.
Thank you.
Thanks, everyone.
Peter.
Thank
Thank you.
everyone.